Have you ever noticed how draining it feels to help someone who doesn't truly want to change? It's like throwing a lifeline to a person who refuses to grab it, or giving endless advice to someone who has already decided they won't listen. Stoicism teaches us that while generosity and compassion are noble qualities, we must also learn the discipline of discernment. Not every person deserves our constant energy, because some people, instead of growing from our help, only use it as fuel to stay stuck in their own destructive cycles. Today, we will explore 10 types of people we should not help, and you may find that by stepping back, you gain not only peace of mind, but also a deeper understanding of true wisdom. Before diving in, let us consider a short story. A traveler once met a beggar who pleaded for coins. Moved by compassion, the traveler gave freely, but day after day, the beggar returned, unchanged, asking for more. The traveler soon realized that his giving was not helping it, was enabling. The beggar did not want transformation, only continuation. This story mirrors a truth about life. Some people don't actually seek change, and by endlessly helping, we unknowingly keep them trapped. Sometimes the greatest act of kindness is refusing to participate in their cycle. 1. The immutable person is one of the most difficult types to deal with. These are the people who refuse to change, no matter how many lifelines are thrown their way. You might recognize them. The friend who constantly complains about their situation, yet never takes even the smallest step toward improvement. The colleague who insists on staying in the same patterns, blaming everyone else for their stagnation. Trying to help such individuals is like trying to rescue a passenger on a sinking ship who refuses to swim. You urge them to move, to act, to save themselves, but they insist on sitting still, convinced that somehow complaining about the cold water will keep them afloat. The frustration is immense because you see their potential, but they see only excuses. Modern Stoicism reminds us that your responsibility ends where another person's refusal begins. As Epictetus taught, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. If someone refuses to react, refuses to act, then their stagnation is not a reflection of your failure, is their choice. The best response here is boundaries. You can offer advice, you can encourage reflection, but you must accept that they may not take it. Compassion should not turn into self-destruction. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is to let go, not out of cruelty, but out of respect for your own energy. As Carl Jung said, some people prefer the pain they know over the unknown pain of growth. If they insist on clinging to their sinking ship, that is their journey, not yours. 2. The manipulators. Have you ever dealt with someone who leaves you exhausted after every conversation? These are the manipulators, the emotional vampires who feed on your kindness. They are not interested in genuine help. They are interested in using your time, energy, and emotions as endless resources for themselves. Helping them feels less like supporting a struggling friend and more like endlessly pouring water into a leaking bucket. No matter how much you give, it's never enough. They may use guilt, dramatics, or endless crises to keep you hooked into their cycle, making you believe you owe them your support. Stoicism teaches us that our peace of mind is priceless, And manipulators threaten exactly that. If every act of kindness you extend only builds up their selfishness, then you are not helping, you are enabling. One of their greatest weapons is guilt. They convince you that saying no makes you cruel. But in truth, sometimes a firm no is the most compassionate act, because it stops the endless drain to protect yourself from manipulators. Remember Marcus Aurelius' wisdom. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If someone's presence constantly disrupts your peace, you must set limits. Recognize their tactics. Refuse to be drawn into their endless drama. And remind yourself that you are not responsible for carrying anyone else's emotional baggage. Life is about balance, not self-sacrifice. Helping should nourish both sides, like watering a healthy plant that grows stronger with care. But if helping feels like pouring yourself into a cactus that only drains you, it's time to stop. You are not here to be everyone's savior. You are here to live your life fully, and manipulators must not be allowed to steal that from you. Asterisk 3. The victim among the many people we encounter. Few are as draining as the victim. This is the person who carries themselves as though life has conspired against them, as if every misfortune is the fault of someone else. They walk through the world not as captains of their own ship, but as passengers endlessly pointing at storms, sharks, and waves, refusing to take hold of the wheel. Their favorite script is simple. It wasn't my fault. Life is unfair. And they repeat it so often that it begins to sound rehearsed, almost like a performance in a never-ending soap opera. Sit with them long enough and you'll hear the same refrains. My boss doesn't see my talent. My friends don't support me. The universe is against me. Each complaint is a fresh coat of paint on the same wall of blame. But beneath this endless narrative lies the real issue. The refusal to take responsibility. The victim clings to their helplessness like a badge of honor. They seem to believe that if they shout loud enough about the unfairness of life, the world will bend to their will. Yet Stoicism teaches the opposite. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The victim misses this lesson entirely. Instead of focusing on the one thing within, they control their response. They waste their energy pointing fingers at everything outside of them. Dealing with the victim is like watching a fish swim in circles inside a small tank, blind to the ocean just beyond the glass. They could break free, but they choose not to. They prefer the comfort of excuses over the courage of growth. And if you're not careful, their constant negativity will begin to drain you to dot. So what can you do? Compassion tells us to help, but wisdom warns us not to sink with them. Helping the victim can be like offering a map to someone who insists that the potholes on the road are everyone else's fault. You can hand them the directions, but they won't follow them until they admit the road belongs to them. Stoicism offers clarity here. You cannot live another person's life for them. You cannot force someone to grow. The victim doesn't need your pity, they need a mirror. Until they are ready to face their own reflection, no amount of advice will change them. That doesn't mean you must abandon them entirely. Sometimes the kindest act is stepping back. By refusing to participate in their cycle of blame, you give them space to realize the truth. The key to change is in their hands, not yours. This is not cruelty, it's respect, both for yourself and for them. Epictetus reminded us we suffer, not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them. The victim has chosen to interpret life through the lens of helplessness, and until they change that judgment, they will remain trapped. Your role is not to carry their burden, but to protect your own peace, the most valuable gift you can give. A victim is the understanding that life does not simply happen to us, we shape it. When they are ready, they will see it. Until then, your responsibility is not to fix their life, but to live yours with strength, clarity, and calm. Asterisk. 4. The narcissist dealing with a victim feels like watching a soap opera. Dealing with a narcissist feels like being trapped on a carousel that never stops spinning. No matter how much attention, time, or energy you give, the ride never ends, and you are left dizzy, drained, and wondering why you got on in the first place. The narcissist is obsessed not just with themselves, that much we all share to some degree, but with ensuring that everyone else is obsessed with them too. They thrive on admiration, demand constant validation, and measure relationships not by balance or mutual respect, but by how much attention they can extract at it first. Their confidence might seem magnetic. They can be charming, persuasive, and even inspiring. But soon, the cracks appear. You realize their world has only one center, and it is not you, not your dreams, not the bond you share, it is them. And the more you feed that center, the more it demands. Stoicism warns us against placing our worth in the opinions of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." The narcissist embodies this contradiction perfectly. They are consumed with self-love, yet enslaved by the need for others' approval. Helping a narcissist often turns into an endless cycle of trying to fill a cup that has no bottom. Every act of kindness, every effort to meet their needs, vanishes instantly into the void of their self-obsession. What begins as generosity ends as exhaustion. The Stoic approach here is simple but firm. Protect your boundaries. A narcissist will test them repeatedly, not out of malice necessarily, but out of the belief that the world revolves around them. If you fail to guard your energy, you will become yet another satellite orbiting their ego. This doesn't mean you must reject them completely, but it does mean you must never lose yourself in their gravity. Generosity should nourish both the giver and the receiver. If helping someone causes you to shrink while they only grow more entitled, then you are not practicing virtue or enabling vanity. The narcissist teaches us a valuable lesson. Not every relationship is meant to be watered. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is step away from the carousel and reclaim your stillness. The narcissist is someone who demands constant attention, yet shows little to no regard for others. They are masters of self-promotion, endlessly seeking validation, but rarely interested in solutions or in the genuine well-being of those around them. They embody the very traits the Stoics warned against: self-centeredness and vanity, because these qualities pull us away from virtue and toward shallowness. Marcus Aurelius once reflected, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This observation captures the essence of the narcissist. They live in a constant loop of needing to be seen, admired, and praised, yet their concern for others is almost non-existent. Imagine a child at the park waving frantically while juggling balls, shouting, "Look at me, look at me." That is the narcissist's spirit, except they never grew out of it. Instead, they perfected it, carrying that hunger for attention into adulthood and turning it into a lifestyle. This is not confined to playgrounds. It spills into family gatherings, workplaces, friendships, and especially social media, where their hunger for likes, applause, and reactions fuels them as though their very existence depended on it. But here's the trap. When you try to help them, offering advice or solutions to their problems, their response is often cold and dismissive, like a cat recoiling from a cucumber. They are not interested in growth. They are not searching for wisdom or change. They are searching only for admiration. Helping a narcissist is like trying to fill a bucket riddled with holes. No matter how much water you pour in, it will never be enough. What you see as generosity becomes, for them, just another opportunity to demand more. So how do you deal with a narcissist? The answer is boundaries. As modern Stoicism reminds us, we cannot control others, but we can control how we respond. You must guard your time, energy, and peace from being consumed by someone who sees you only as a mirror reflecting their ego. This isn't about cruelty. It's about wisdom. Helping others is noble, but it must never come at the expense of your own well-being. Why pour endless effort into someone who will never value it, when you could instead give that energy to those who genuinely appreciate and grow from your support? Think of your life as a garden. Why water weeds that will only take and take, when you can nourish flowers that bloom, share fragrance, and give back beauty? The narcissist is the weed that thrives on draining soil, while true relationships are the flowers that enrich your life. The Stoics remind us to invest our time wisely. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you allow a narcissist to dominate your mental space, your thoughts become stained by their self-absorption. Protecting your peace means choosing carefully where your energy flows. This does not mean you abandon kindness, it means you practice discernment. Life is too short to play a background role in someone else's endless drama. The narcissist will always find another stage, another audience. But you, guided by Stoic principles, must decide where to place your attention. Remember, your time is gold. Invest it in those who cherish it, not those who waste it. 5. People who don't value your time. Time is the most precious resource we have. Money can be earned again, possessions can be replaced, but once a moment is gone, it never returns. Yet there are people who treat your time with careless disregard, as if it were a bottomless well they can draw from without consequence. These are the time wasters. Picture a child spilling juice carelessly on a carpet, indifferent to the stain they leave behind. That is how time wasters treat your hours and days, with little thought for the value of what they take. They cancel plans at the last moment, arrive late without apology, or constantly demand just a minute of your time, minutes that stretch into hours. They operate as though your schedule exists to serve them, as though your life is a buffet from which they can take freely whenever they wish. Stoicism urges us to treat time as sacred. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. When we allow others to rob us of our time, we are complicit in the theft. Every careless interruption, every hour wasted on someone who does not respect your boundaries is a piece of your life you can never reclaim. Dealing with time wasters requires courage. Saying no can feel uncomfortable, especially when you fear disappointing someone. But remember, every yes to someone else is also a no to yourself. Protecting your time is not selfish, it is self-respect. Think of your time as a lottery, ticket rare, precious, and non-refundable. Would you hand it over to someone who doesn't appreciate its worth? Of course not. Yet every time you allow a time waster to drain your day, that is exactly what you are doing. The Stoic solution is clarity. Set boundaries. Communicate your limits with firmness, but without hostility. Learn the power of the polite but unwavering no, thank you. By doing this, you preserve not only your schedule, but also your energy, your focus, and your peace of mind at its heart. Valuing your time is valuing your life. Surround yourself with those who understand its worth, who show up on time, who respect your commitments, and who value your presence. These are the people who will help you grow. The rest, those who waste your hours carelessly, must be held at a distance, because as Stoicism reminds us, the most precious gift you can give anyone is your time. Give it wisely, because once spent, it is gone forever. Asterisk, they don't respect your limits, and they certainly don't respect your need for personal space or time to recharge. We've all experienced this feeling. Maybe you had an important meeting coming up, a pressing deadline to meet, or even just a simple desire to rest quietly for a few minutes. But there are people who act as though their demands are always more important than whatever you have planned. It's almost as if they see you as a clock that runs endlessly, a resource that's always ticking in service of their needs. Think about how many times you've dropped everything for someone who claimed to need just a minute of your time, only to watch that minute stretch into an hour, leaving you drained and frustrated. Dealing with these kinds of people, time wasters, is like trying to solve a 1,000-piece puzzle in the dark. It's exhausting, confusing, and nearly impossible. Yet, there is hope. Modern Stoicism gives us clear and practical tools to handle these situations without anger or bitterness. The very first step is learning to protect your time by setting firm boundaries. Picture your life as a carefully cultivated garden. Your time and energy are the flowers you've planted, nurtured, and cared for. A time waster, on the other hand, is like an invasive weed. If you don't establish boundaries, they'll spread endlessly, choking out what's valuable and beautiful. You must make it clear when you're available and when you're not. And most importantly, you must not be afraid to say no. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, gave us a timeless reminder: waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. And in this context, being a good person means being wise enough to guard your time from careless waste. Communicate your schedule. Stick to it. Remember, your life is not about living up to other people's expectations. but about living in harmony with your own principles and priorities. Prioritizing your agenda isn't selfish, it's necessary. Write down what truly matters to you. Recognize that your time is a non-renewable resource that deserves respect. Then, when a time waster appears, remember that sometimes the most powerful conversation is the one you refuse to have. You don't owe everyone your hours, and you certainly don't need to justify why you're spending them on something meaningful to you. By protecting your schedule, you reclaim control over your life. This doesn't mean shutting people out or being unkind. It simply means refusing to let your life be hijacked by those who don't respect it. Imagine a gardener again. Why water weeds that will only take over when you could nourish the flowers that will bloom and bring joy? Modern Stoicism teaches us to see clearly where our energy goes. When a time waster disrupts your plans, remember the Stoic teaching. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your response should be calm, firm, and rooted in self-respect. Instead of frustration, choose composure. Instead of guilt, choose clarity. Time is not infinite, it is the most precious currency of life. To squander it on people who cannot see its value is to cheat yourself of what you could become. In our modern world, this challenge is sharper than ever. Emails, constant notifications, endless meetings, and social obligations make it feel like we must be available 24/7. But here's the truth. You are in control of how you spend your time, not the people around you. Stoic principles remind us to focus only on what we can control, and our schedule is one of those things. Not everyone will value time the way you do, and that's fine. What matters is that you recognize its worth and protect it fiercely when someone tries to pull you into unnecessary distractions. You don't need to feel guilty for saying no. A simple, polite refusal can save you hours of frustration and protect your peace of mind. Like a wise gardener, choose carefully where your energy flows. Invest it in people and projects that give back, not in weeds that consume. Without gratitude, Seneca, another great Stoic, captured it perfectly. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. That is the tragedy of the time waster. They will rob you, not of money or possessions, but of something far more irreplaceable. Your hours, your attention, your very life. And it is your duty to defend that treasure. So the lesson is clear. Your time is your life, and you alone must decide how it is spent. Recognize the people who don't value it, and find the courage to set firm boundaries. Prioritize your own needs. Reclaim control. When you live this way, your life becomes lighter, more peaceful, and filled with purpose, because, in the end, the Stoic truth stands firm. Life is too short to waste on weeds. Choose to water the flowers instead. The Stoics remind us that wisdom lies in recognizing where our efforts are best placed. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Instead of exhausting yourself with frustration when others refuse to take your advice, redirect your focus toward places where your guidance will be valued. Think of yourself as a gardener. When you plant a seed in fertile soil, it has the chance to grow into something beautiful, bearing fruit in time. But if you plant in barren ground, No amount of water, care, or sunlight will make anything bloom. This is how it is with the deaf one. No matter how much you speak, teach, or encourage, their refusal to act makes your words fruitless. Sometimes, the greatest act of kindness you can offer is to step back and let them face the consequences of their inaction. Life itself becomes their teacher, often in ways no words ever could. It isn't your role to play the parrot, repeating the same truths over and over, hoping that this time they will finally listen. Your energy is precious. It deserves to be invested in those who are ready to move forward, not wasted on those who cling to stagnation. Stoic lessons remind us that true growth is born from action and self-discipline. Seneca warned us, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Helping someone who refuses to act on your advice wastes not only your time but theirs as well. In modern life, this dynamic plays out daily. Perhaps it's a colleague who constantly asks for advice, but continues making the same careless mistakes. Or maybe it's a friend who endlessly seeks guidance, yet their behavior never changes. You leave these encounters feeling drained, frustrated, and questioning why you even tried. This is where Stoicism gives clarity. Our energy is finite, and it must be used wisely. A true Stoic knows to invest their time and effort where progress is possible. By recognizing the deaf one for who they are, you break free from the exhausting cycle of giving advice that never takes root. You reclaim your energy and redirect it toward people who are ready for growth. Then comes another familiar figure, the dramatic person. This is the individual who seems to have walked straight out of a Shakespearean tragedy. For them, every inconvenience is a catastrophe, every minor setback a personal apocalypse. Their life is a stage, and they act as if the world is their audience, drawing you into their endless drama and making you feel like you are sitting in the front row of their chaotic play. At first, you may feel pulled to help them, believing that they desperately need your wisdom to navigate their storm. But here lies the hard truth. Sometimes, the best way to help a dramatic person is not to get involved at all. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The dramatic person thrives on emotional chaos, a chaos they themselves create. If you are not careful, you'll get pulled into their storm, drowning in their negativity. Think about it. You sit down expecting a calm day, and suddenly you're forced into their theater of misery. Every simple issue is exaggerated into the climax of a grand tragedy. Their words are crafted to make you feel guilty, to worry, or to believe that without your constant attention, their world will collapse. But no matter how much advice you give or comfort you offer, it only fuels their fire. Helping them feels like throwing logs onto a blaze, burns brighter, but never goes out. So how do you deal with the dramatic person? The first step is setting boundaries. Imagine yourself as a photographer, capturing beautiful landscapes. If you spend all your time in the house of the dramatic person, your gallery will only be filled with dark clouds and stormy skies. Boundaries protect your peace of mind. They don't mean you don't care. They mean you've chosen not to let someone else's drama become the centerpiece of your life. Compassion from a distance is the next strategy. Visualize yourself surrounded by an invisible shield, one that allows you to see their suffering but prevents you from being consumed by it. You can care, you can show kindness, but you don't have to drown in their turbulence. This is a core teaching of modern Stoicism. Practicing compassion without sacrificing your inner peace. Sometimes what a dramatic person truly needs is not a savior, but a mirror. Instead of offering endless solutions which they'll likely ignore, you can ask reflective questions. Do you really believe it's as bad as it seems? This isn't an attempt to rescue them. It's a nudge toward self-awareness. Whether or not they act on it is up to them, but at least you've offered a chance for perspective. And never underestimate the power of humor. The Stoics understood the absurdity of life and used humor as a tool for resilience. Seneca said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." When confronted with exaggerated dramatics, a light-hearted comment, "Wow, sounds like the apocalypse was rough this time," can momentarily break the cycle, ease the tension, and perhaps even help them laugh at themselves. But remember this: helping a dramatic person often feels like trying to empty the ocean with a bucket. No matter how hard you work, the waves keep coming. The truth is, some people thrive in their storms. They don't want peace, they want drama. And when that's the case, the best thing you can do is step back and let them navigate their chaos. Alone, modern Stoicism encourages us to conserve our energy for where it truly matters. Life is far too short to be consumed by another person's theatrics. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Surround yourself with constant negativity, and soon it will shape your own mind. Instead, seek out those who lift you, who face life's hardships with resilience and dignity, who can find joy even in small victories. So the next time you find yourself face to face with a dramatic person, remember, you are not their savior nor their stagehand. Protect your peace, honor your time, and invest your energy in people who strive for growth. Compassion matters, but so do boundaries. Your path is yours to walk. Don't let it be overshadowed by someone else's performance. You are not responsible for keeping their emotional theater alive. Their stage is not yours to maintain. Your life is your own, filled with its own challenges, its own beauty, and countless moments worth celebrating. The world is already rich with people who see life as an adventure, not as a tragedy. These are the people you should seek out, the ones who face struggles with resilience, who transform pain into growth, and who remind you that life, though fleeting, is far too precious to waste on someone else's endless drama. Now we meet another archetype, the ungrateful. If you've ever extended a helping hand only to receive nothing but indifference in return, then you already know the sting of dealing with the ungrateful. They walk through life as if kindness is a debt owed to them, as if everyone's effort is theirs by entitlement. It's as though they hold an invisible coupon for endless care and attention, redeemable everywhere, yet never once giving back. In return, these people are like emotional black holes, absorbing all you offer but never filling the void within themselves. They leave you drained, questioning why you bothered at all. For the Stoics, gratitude was not optionally, was a core virtue. It grounds the mind, balances the emotions, and brings perspective to even the most difficult days. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. Why then should you spend your finite energy on people who treat life's greatest virtue as nothing more than an afterthought?" Gratitude is more than polite words. Its recognition is the deep awareness of the value of another person's effort. The ungrateful miss this entirely. They expect more while appreciating less. Imagine this. You see someone drowning. You leap into the water, risk your own safety, and pull them onto the boat. A grateful person looks at you with wide eyes and whispers, "Thank you. I don't know what I would have done without you." But the ungrateful, they glare at you and say, "What took you so long? I almost drowned." In their eyes, your sacrifice becomes irrelevant. Your rescue, never enough. This is the truth. Not everyone who appears to need help truly wants it. Some don't seek rescue, they seek complaint. Ungrateful people are like plants that never bloom, no matter how much water, care, and sunlight you pour into them, nothing blossoms. And while it's true that not everyone has been raised with the same understanding of gratitude, that does not mean you must continue sacrificing your emotional well-being at the altar of their indifference. Stoicism offers a clear principle here. You cannot control others, only your response to them. That means the first step is boundaries. If someone consistently drains your kindness without acknowledgement, you must protect your energy. Remember, your light is not endless, cannot grow in the shade forever. Setting boundaries does not make you less generous. It makes you wiser. In modern Stoicism, this is vital to emotional balance. Think of it this way. You wouldn't waste your finest ingredients on a microwaved frozen meal. You'd save them for a feast worth savoring. Your energy should be treated the same. Another important practice is turning gratitude inward. When you give too much to others, especially those who never appreciate it, you risk forgetting the abundance in your own life. The Stoics taught that he who is not content with what he has will not be content with what he would like to have. Take time to appreciate your blessings, the people who truly value you, and even the small moments of joy that make life rich. This nourishes your emotional reserves, ensuring that you don't run dry even when surrounded by takers. And you must also accept a sobering truth. Some people will never change. Some will never learn the value of gratitude, no matter how much you give. Accepting this is freedom. Think of the ungrateful as a broken clock. No matter how many times you try to fix it, it will always show the wrong time, and that's okay. You are not responsible for repairing their brokenness. You are only responsible for how much of your time and energy you choose to invest. Acceptance is one of Stoicism's greatest gifts. It allows you to walk away without bitterness, to release the burden of waiting for a thank you that may never come. So when you encounter the ungrateful, remember, you do not need to be the hero in their story. Life is too short to waste on people who refuse to value what you bring. Instead, modern Stoicism calls us to seek relationships built on mutual respect and appreciation, where gratitude flows naturally and freely. You deserve to share your life with people who uplift you, not with those who weigh you down. At the end of the day, emotional balance is what truly matters. Surround yourself with those who honor your efforts and guard your generosity so it strengthens rather than weakens you. As Cicero once said, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others. In a world where demands on our time and energy are endless, few lessons are more crucial, and now we come face to face with another exhausting presence, the dependent. This type of person walks through life, carrying a heavy backpack of problems instead of learning to bear the weight themselves. They expect you to carry it for them. They thrive on leaning, on handing over responsibility, on letting others make decisions for them. It might sound exaggerated, but the emotional toll is all too real. Picture this. You're at a lively party. Music is playing, laughter fills the air, and joy flows through the room. But suddenly, you find yourself cornered by the dependent. What begins as small talk about the weather transforms into a suffocating conversation about their endless troubles. They tell you how they couldn't decide what to eat, how they're overwhelmed by every choice, how even their dog running away feels like the collapse of their world. Soon, the weight of their problems is shifted onto your shoulders. And here's the key. They don't just want you to listen. They want you to solve everything for them. This is where Stoic lessons become not just helpful, but essential. The denier. When you encounter the denier, you're standing before someone who has declared war on reality itself. They cling to their illusions with a grip so tight it rivals a child's attachment to a security blanket. No matter how loud or clear life's signals are, they refuse to hear them. Denial isn't just a bad habit, it is a self-made prison. It's like trying to push down a brick wall with bare hands. Exhausting, fruitless, and ultimately damaging to yourself. The denier is the person who insists the storm is just a drizzle while everyone else is drenched. They are the sailor who refuses to admit the boat is sinking, even as water fills the cabin. And when you try to help, when you point out the leaks, the dangers, the clear direction north, they look at you with disbelief, as though you are the one living in a fantasy. This is why dealing with a denier feels like trying to teach a fish to fly. You can spend endless energy offering explanations, evidence, even love, but none of it penetrates the shield of their chosen illusion. You may feel a deep frustration, even despair, watching them sabotage their own life while rejecting every lifeline you throw their way. The Stoics would remind us here of a crucial truth. We are responsible for our actions, not for the acceptance of truth by others. Epictetus taught that some things are in our control and some are not. The beliefs a denier clings to, their refusal to accept reality, not yours to fix. What is yours is your response. So how does the Stoic deal with the denier? The first step is acceptance. Accept that their resistance is not a problem you can solve. To battle the denier head-on is to enter their game, a game designed with no exit. Instead, choose peace. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Their denial does not have to disturb your calm. The second step is perspective. Think of yourself as a lighthouse. A lighthouse does not chase ships or scream at the storm. It stands tall, shining steadily, a constant reminder of where the shore lies. For the denier, you can be that light not by forcing truth upon them, but by quietly embodying it. Your clarity, your groundedness, becomes a silent example that, one day, they may notice. The third step is detachment. This does not mean apathy, it means wisdom. You do not entangle yourself in their illusions. You show compassion without becoming consumed by their refusal to see. As Seneca wrote, fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling. The denier may choose to be dragged by life's harsh lessons, but you do not have to be pulled along for the ride. Picture yourself holding a compass that points true north. The denier insists that south is the new north. You can smile, hold your ground, and continue walking in the right direction. Because in the end, reality doesn't bend to denial. Truth has a way of revealing itself, with or without your intervention. Helping a denier is often an impossible task, but embodying truth, peace, and self-control in their presence is always possible. And that is where your power lies. Asterisk. The first step in dealing with someone who lives in denial is accepting a hard truth. There is very little you can do to change their perspective. Attempting to shift their worldview is like swimming upstream. Against a powerful current you will exhaust yourself, yet they will remain stubbornly swimming in circles. This is why, at times, the most effective form of help is not direct confrontation, but rather stepping back. You can let them know, with kindness but firmness, that while you care about them, you cannot allow their denial to drain your energy. At the end of the day, you have your own life to live, your own path to walk, and your own responsibilities to carry. You are not responsible for dragging someone out of a reality they refuse to leave behind. Modern Stoicism teaches us one of its most important principles: to recognize clearly what lies within our control and what does not. As much as your heart may wish otherwise, you cannot change another person's mind if they have decided to cling to their illusions. You cannot rewire their thinking or force them to face the truth. The Stoics remind us that control over our thoughts, our choices, our responses, the only true control we have. If the denier chooses to remain inside their carefully constructed bubble of fantasy, that is their decision, and they are entitled to live with the consequences of that choice. Your duty, instead, is to safeguard your own mental and emotional well-being, to preserve your inner peace, and to avoid getting entangled in their web of self-deception. Marcus Aurelius captured this wisdom perfectly when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Strength in this situation comes not from breaking down their walls of denial, but from acknowledging that their reality is not yours to fix. Sometimes, if you feel compelled to try a final approach, using light irony or gentle humor can serve as a mirror to their absurdity. A playful remark, a subtle joke, or a sarcastic observation may, on occasion, help them reflect on the irrationality of their stance. Humor has a unique way of bypassing defenses, sometimes succeeding where logical arguments fail. Yet even this strategy is not guaranteed, is at best a last-ditch effort, and you must be prepared for the possibility that it will not work. Because here is the truth. When you engage with a denier, it often feels like battling ghosts, wrestling, shadows that exist only in their imagination. And if you continue too long, you risk losing sight of your own clarity. To maintain your perspective and your peace, it is crucial to surround yourself with people who face reality as it is, people who support your pursuit of wisdom and inner strength. The denier, unfortunately, is rarely one of these people. Life is too short to spend endless hours trying to convince someone that the sun rises in the east and not in the west. Through the lens of modern Stoicism, the healthiest approach is learning to let go. You do not have to fix everyone. In fact, sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is allow someone the freedom to face the consequences of their own denial. You may love them, you may care deeply, but love does not mean you must sacrifice your peace in an endless struggle to make them see what they refuse to see. Epictetus expressed this with timeless clarity. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your reaction is always within your control, and sometimes the wisest reaction is to step back, to stop trying to be the savior, and to allow them to walk their own path even if that path leads them to stumble. So, when you encounter a denier, remind yourself, you do not have to be the hero of their story. The wisdom of Stoicism teaches us that real strength is not in carrying every burden, but in knowing when to put some burdens down. You cannot shoulder the weight of another person's refusal to accept reality, nor should you let it weigh down your journey. Your task is to live your life with clarity, surrounded by people who value truth and respect your energy. Letting a denier remain in their bubble is not abandonment, is an act of self-preservation and a declaration of inner clarity. End 10. Types of people we should not help. Wisdom for living modern Stoicism. So, the next time you meet someone who drains your energy or refuses to grow, take a deep breath, smile, and remind yourself, not all battles are yours to fight, and not all people are meant to be helped. And that's perfectly fine if you've made it this far. Comment below with "Not all battles are mine" to show you're embracing this wisdom. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic Secrets. Turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming lessons packed with timeless wisdom for living. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.